Okay, so here we have a 2010 Ford E-350, 5.4 liter, has a parasitic draw problem. I've already charged the battery, load tested the battery. As you can see here from my amp clamp, we got a heck of a draw going on here. First thing I always do is get the car ready to trace down this draw by opening the doors and making the computer think the doors are shut even though they're open. No matter how you have to do that, whether you have to put a vice grips or a C-clamp on a door switch, or on Fords you actually have to physically move in the striker in order to do it. But as you can see, 2.2 amps is a tremendous amount of draw. Normally when you get that much draw, it's usually a light bulb staying on, something else like that. I always tend to look over the obvious, make sure that there's no alarm system or anything else like that. There's a hot lead to the electronic brake controller. I've already removed the fuse there. I know I ain't got no problems there. You have to have accessibility to the fuse boxes, and there's a couple different ways of going about it. Ford wants you to remove the fuses and leave them out as you go tracing down the draw. Some people are against that, some people are for it. It's all your own deal, but I'll show you how to hook up the meter and what I use, and we'll trace down this 2.2 amp draw, which should be fairly easy because that's a huge draw. It's got to be a couple light bulbs or something not shutting off. So I'll show you what I use and the equipment that you need. I use a couple different things here. I use a DC amp clamp. You can buy that on Amazon for about 40 bucks or so. It's a good tool to have. Just a cheap multimeter. This is nothing fancy or anything else like that. I do have these leads I made up here. Those are a bed of nails and clamps. And then I also run an inline fuse on one of them, because it's easier to replace this fuse than it is to replace the fuse in your meter if somebody decides to open the door or something else like that while you're doing this test and it blows the fuse in your meter. So if you are going to do the voltage drop on the fuse test, you will need another multimeter in order to do that. I will go over that briefly, but I will show you how to hook up your meter in series in order to check your amp draw or your parasitic draw. Ford states that you should have no more than 50 milliamps. Okay, so on the scale that is 0.05, in case you're wondering that. Okay, so what I've done is loosened the negative terminal. What I'm going to do is take these two clamps here, and I'm going to clamp one to the terminal itself. And then I'm going to slowly, it's easy to do on a top post battery, much harder to do. I'm going to slowly maintain contact with the post to the terminal, and as I get enough room, I'm going to open this up and I'm going to grab the bottom terminal there so I don't break the continuity. If you do, it's not the end of the world. Do remember though, on a modern vehicle, especially 96 and newer, we have up to 11 computers on a vehicle and they all take time to shut down. Ford actually uses what's called a battery saver relay to keep your battery from fully draining down. These are high electric use vehicles. Excuse me. Make sure you give yourself the time for the modules to shut down. Ford says 40 to 60 minutes. I usually do about an hour and 15 minutes just to make sure everything's shut down and not disturbed. Make sure the key is out of the ignition and in your pocket. The doors are opened and overridden as necessary. Sorry folks, it looks like that these door latch ajar switches are not in the latch on this particular model. It is right there, and I just used a C-clamp there to put it closed. So the fuse box has access underneath here, so it's critical to have the driver's door accessible. And let's continue with the test. Well, folks, this one was actually kind of easy. I did notice when I had this clamp on here to override the door ride switch, or the door lock, or door shut switch, door jar switch, that the back light was on. So as I pushed that, the light stayed on, so that would tell you that this switch is obviously bad. I did hook up my scanner and did confirm that even with this in here and closed and tightened, that the door was still showing ajar. So what I did was I sprayed a little lube in there and worked it back and forth, and now it works like it should. I am probably going to replace that switch. And like I said, since we had over a 1 amp draw, I had a feeling it was a light bulb or something along that. That's quite a bit of electricity to be pulling. But I will take you through how to test these without removing them, which is the process that some people like, some people don't. I use actually both methods depending on what I am making headway with, I guess. So what you need to do is you need a digital voltmeter here. You need to set it on milliamps DC, or millivolts, excuse me. You can see how it says millivolts right here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to touch the 2 tabs on the top. Let's see if I can do this here. And like I said, I will put that chart up on the video so you can see for the way you need to calculate that. Okay, so I got them both in the tabs there, and we are showing 0 millivolts, so we know that there's no current going through that circuit on that particular one. These cartridge fuses here are kind of a pain in the butt to do this to, so I usually end up removing those. If you're going to do the remove and replace until you get your drop down, if you do remove it and then you replace it and you notice that your amp draw spikes, that circuit usually contains a module. But like I said, this one was a pretty easy fix, and it just ended up being the door switch not working and keeping the dome light on. So like I said, I always look for the obvious. If you got something around an amp or so, you're probably looking at a light bulb in a glove box, on a sun visor, or your dome light, or something along those lines not shutting off. 500 milliamps, sometimes you're looking at a module it's not coming offline. That's kind of pretty common too. But thanks for watching. This just kind of gives you a rundown on how to do a basic parasitic draw on almost any vehicle. Have a good day.